Good morning, everybody. Yuma Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to thank you for welcoming us to present to you our idea on how we can address financial literacy for graduating seniors. Our idea is to bring professionals to the classroom, and the reason we're here today is to help share our idea of a program with you in hopes that we can partner with the Chamber and its members to help get these professionals into the classroom. With that, Bree.
Yep, Bree. I'm from Scottsdale. And I'm Regina Toomey, and I'm from Yuma, so I see some friendly faces out there. I want you to think back to your senior year of high school. You've learned about trapezoids and how to plot points on a graph. You've taken English and history. You've probably even made a random piece of pottery in ceramics. You are ready. Now cut to 2 years later. You've applied for several credit cards. You have a checking and a savings account. But you've also paid several $100s in overdraft fees because you never taught how to balance that checking account. My son recently graduated from Yuma Catholic High School, and by the time he graduated, he had already received 10 credit card offers. Thankfully, I intercepted those, but if I didn't, who knows what would have happened. And that's the reality for most students. The simple fact is that financial literacy simply isn't prioritized the way that it should be. Our proposed program will address the lack of financial literacy and how to expand programs to every graduating senior in Yuma County. With your help, this pilot program could be expanded to every county in the state. Some of these facts will be common for you, but I want you to understand why we chose Yuma. As you know, we are situated in the southwestmost corner of the state, comprised of Yuma, Somerton, San Luis, Gadsden, the Foothills, Welton, and Tacna. Our population countywide is just over 200,000. Countywide in Yuma, 11% of our population has a bachelor's degree, only 25% has a high school diploma, and only 11% has some sort of high school education. Median income in Yuma is around $48,000 a year. The poverty levels range from 16.9% in Yuma all the way up to 26.5% in Welton. If you've turned on the news lately, you know, and if you live here daily, you know that financial literacy is the least of Yuma's worries. Between immigration and water rights issues, there's been little focus on financial literacy in the county. But as you also know, what Yuma lacks in educational backgrounds, it makes up for in growth and opportunity. Yuma has a diverse economic background, 2 military bases, 2 Native American tribes, 2 ports of entry, and millions of dollars in agriculture and manufacturing resources. Yuma is growing at a rate of 1% per year, and with that growth comes more families and more students who are in need of financial education. Bree is now going to speak to Arizona standards and requirements.
Gina? Okay, so let's consider the statistics. And let's look at it on a state and global scale, and you'll see that the numbers are quite staggering. $34,700 is the average Arizonans have in student loans, making us the 12th highest state for student debt, which is considerable given that the annual salary in Arizona is $50,000. And this goes back to students just having a more educated understanding of student loans that can help them make the next move they'd like to after high school. 40% of millennials in the US can't cover a $2,000 financial emergency without having to take out a high interest loans. This just emphasizes the importance of budgeting. 7 million Americans are 3 months behind on their car payments. And again, this just connects to the importance of knowing the different intricacies of auto loans. Thankfully, Senate Bill 1184 was passed in August of 2019. This was championed by Treasurer Kimberly Yee and her Financial Literacy Task Force. This is something that our Project Central class actually learned about during our Capital Seminar. And Yee appointed Arizona's first ever task force that focuses on financial literacy across Arizona's communities. And what that legislation did is it mandates all Arizona high schools to require financial literacy as a component of their economic credit. And why was it passed? It gives students the resources that they need to manage their money and create thriving personal and professional lives that could advance Arizona's economic landscape. And what's actually required? So before we get into that, we need to differentiate curriculum versus standard. So curriculum is something that is not adopted by the state. I spoke to Deputy Director of the Arizona State Board of Education, and he said that curriculum is adopted at the local level and focuses more on how students learn versus standards, which are actually adopted by the state, and it's more of what students need to know. In Arizona, the high school standards for social studies are 3 credits. 2.5 of those credits focuses on history, geography, and government, and a half credit is solely focused to economics, and that equates to about a semester-long course. Within that economic credit, there are 5 anchor standards, but one of them applies to financial literacy, and it reads, "A financially literate individual understands how to manage income, spending, and investment." So that's a wide variety of topics that fall into those buckets. You've got savings, credit cards, loans, banking, or insurance. But why does this matter? It means that schools have a lot of flexibility on what type of curriculum they select as long as it hits the standards adopted by the state. Kate's now going to talk about how we can take advantage of that and really take this program to the next level.
Thank you, Bree. You know, growing up, I was pretty fortunate that my parents, they were business owners. My mom had us involved in things like 4-H and some other things that gave us some real-world experience on budgeting and how to keep track of things early on. One of the first things that happened after I graduated high school and turned 18 is my mom insisted I got a credit card. Unlike Regina's son, I didn't get 10 offers that I can remember, but I did get a credit card immediately. And then about 18 months later, I went to go get my first loan, essentially an auto loan. And, you know, I had done all the things right. I had paid my bills and everything. And what I learned through that process is credit's kind of funny. They weren't willing to give me a loan without a cosigner. And, you know, cosigners are funny. It's something that is extremely common, happens every day. But what I didn't realize at the time is how big of a commitment that is to ask somebody to do for me. Not everybody's got parents or family members or friends that are not only willing but able to qualify for that. You know, and this is just a short personal experience of my own that kind of leads us to why we're here, why we're having this conversation, why we developed this program. So essentially, here we have here Making Sense. It's a coalition. UMA, this is our pilot program. And I'd be willing to bet if you look at all these professions around here that you've probably hired one or more of those in the last year, maybe all of them. There's probably several of you sitting in this room that are one of these. And so what we're trying to do here is get all of these professions to volunteer time to go be in front of students, to give them the real-world experience, to help not just meet the requirements set by the state, that, as you saw, were pretty vague and minimal, but exceed them. Give them real-world examples. Let them talk to these students. You know, so one of the first questions I'm sure that everybody's going to have is, if I'm going to be involved in a program like this, what's the time commitment? What's required of me to do this? And we're really trying to keep this as simple as possible. So initially, we're going to target a single high school in Yuma and try to get a representative from every one of those careers. So essentially, that comes out to, if we only get one volunteer for each one of those careers, we're estimating about 12 to 16 hours in a single semester, which equates to 2 or 3 days. And most of that time would be in the classroom. We're going to try to keep content creation and that sort of thing to a minimum. As Bree mentioned, there's already curriculum established. We can utilize that. But if there's individuals in here that have ideas on curriculum or lessons they would like to do, we're open to that. What we want to do is bring the real world to these students. Obviously, there will be a small time commitment as far as meetings because we are going to set this up as a 501c3 with a volunteer board. We're going to have a program director that's going to help essentially make sure that the decisions and the direction of this and the whole idea gets to essentially the teachers in the classroom and the schools themselves so they know that this is available. Because the partners in the classroom, those are going to be the professionals that we're asking to go to the classrooms. So the program director that's going to help set up who's volunteering, what their profession is, what those lessons may be, and then get that to the classrooms and let the teachers contact these people to fit into their own programs and their own lesson planning. So not just the commitment, but why would you as professionals and the chamber be interested in something like this? I think the first and foremost is Yuma has traditionally been a community that gives back. And that sounds maybe a little vague, but it's true. I mean, these are high school students, and they're going to be the members of our communities. They're going to be the new professionals coming in. But as a business aspect of it, this gives you the opportunity to get in front of these young adults before they're out looking for a banker or an insurance agent or insurance agent or blah, blah, blah. It also gives you an opportunity to find future employees and give students an idea of potential careers that exist out there. And so with that, pass it back to Regina and she can help close us out.
So we chose Yuma because of its poverty and income levels, but also because of its vast opportunity for growth. We know that the state standards are flexible and attainable. And as you know, Yuma is a community known for giving back. We hope you're ready and willing to help. And for all of these reasons, this program makes sense for Yuma. Thank you.